crew, I'm Belinda Risley and welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast, the show designed for motorsport athletes, parents and support teams who want to accelerate their careers both on and off the track. Whether you're struggling to secure a sponsorship, grow your social media or understand the business side of racing, because yes, motorsport is a business, this podcast is here to help. Each episode, I'll share practical tips, advice and insights, often joined by industry experts, motorsport athletes who share their real-world experiences. So if you're ready to take your motorsport career to the next level, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello, crew, and welcome back to another episode of the Motorsport Coaching Podcast. I'm excited to have you listening today and to hear all about our special guest, Sam Silvestro from ESP Sport Racing. In today's show, Sam shares his insights from over 40-year journey in motorsports, from his early days in super sprinting to the comprehensive services offered by his company, ESP Sport Racing. We're going to discuss the intricacy of leasing versus owning a race car, the competitive edge of the former RX8 series, and the evolving landscape of race car preparation and technology. Sam also highlights the importance of driver training and shares valuable advice for aspiring motorsport athletes team tuning to explore the dynamic world of motorsports and learn how to navigate a successful path within. Let's get started with today's episode. Hello, Sam, and welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast.
Hi there. Nice to be here.
Yes. So for those who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about your background in motorsport and how ESP Sport Racing came to be?
Sure can. I've actually been competing in motorsport for over 40 years now, even though I was a late starter. Got into a lot of club events very early on where it was super sprinting. You don't do or see a lot of that so much now, but super sprinting was just one or two cars on the track at a time doing a couple of laps, always just against the clock. And then we progressed into various open racing categories, and here I am today running a business that has a very wide footprint in motorsport because we lease cars, we build cars, we sell a lot of race car parts, and if we're lucky, occasionally we get to go and race them ourselves.
That's right. So now the business has taken over all the fun.
It does, yeah. Got to make the money first.
And what drew you to working with the XR8 category? And what makes it a class for
No, we're very heavily involved with a category called Formula RX8, and it is a one-make series, as the name implies. We have a few of those cars. We recently just sold one to a very happy customer in Queensland who is probably going to run in the series this year. Like all motorsport in 2025, the calendars have been very late to arrive, so we only just know now that our first event for Formula anyway will be in April at the Bathurst, as part of the Bathurst 6 Hour.
Ooh,
so we've got cars ready to go for that.
Yeah. And now you did touch a base about providing everything from race car parts to full car leases. What has inspired you, I guess, or what's kind of been the trigger for you to offer all the comprehensive services that you currently do at ESP Sport Racing?
Yeah, look, it's been an evolutionary thing because I did own a full-scale parts business a few years back, and when I moved out of that, it was around the time of COVID, and we were, a little bit unsure of what we were all doing. But this is where we've landed, and we do have a lot of experience in these types of parts. So I tend to think that our harnesses, for example, are about, as good as any other in the world. They're FIA standard, but they're the enduro style, so they're a lot more adjustable than most other race harnesses. And, from wanting a product like that for myself to use, I know it's the right product to sell. So our selling of parts comes from our experience in using them and knowing what the best parts to use are. So that's where we've evolved.
And that's fantastic. And like you said, that you kind of got into leasing. For those that don't know about leasing vehicles, I guess, again, for the demographic that's listening, it's normally like the grassroots athletes probably like looking to progress up. How does the leasing process work?
Yeah, look, it's pretty interesting, really, because we've had a number of different types of customers. We've had customers who are very new to motorsport and don't know where to start. So, we can provide them a car. We can provide them, help them with the paperwork. We can tutor them. We can run them through the whole process of a race meeting. Then we've had people who've wanted to drive one of our cars as a toe in the water exercise to getting into the series, and a shortcut to therefore get into the series by learning so much from us. And we've had people who are even, say, experienced motor racers. They don't own a car at the moment, and they just want to do an event to keep a hand in, keep their eye in, or even to get a compliance signature on their license. So we've had customers right across that range, and it makes our business interesting.
And what are some of the biggest benefits of leasing a car compared to owning one outright? That's one of the common questions I get asked.
Sure. Yeah, no, look, me too. I think, we're all time poor, and if we're hard at work in our own businesses, sometimes we just don't have the time to build a car, maintain a car, or even have somewhere to park a car. So we've got all of that for a customer, and we can tailor a package to suit whatever the customer needs. So we're really here to make it easy for people. And as I say, I think, we're all time poor in our modern lifestyle. And that's why there is a demand for the sort of business that we provide.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the former RX8. It's a big mouthful, isn't it?
We're not used to it.
The Formula RX8 category, there you go, is growing in popularity. What makes it a great stepping stone for drivers looking to advance their careers in motorsports?
Oh, look, Formula RX8 in particular has been a level playing field. So it comes down to being a showcase of driver skills. It's been price capped to maintain the cost of it. And one make racing does always get a lot of attention, and so it's got a lot going for it in all of those regards.
And you just mentioned the calendar's come out. Tell us about the calendar. What does it look like? How many rounds? What kind of racetracks?
Okay, you caught me off guard a little bit there, but I'll rely on not quite Google, but I'll go to the website. And as I said, Bathurst is the first round, and the beauty of the Formula RX8 series is that it goes across a number of different tracks. So you're not just running at one track; you're going Australia wide. Round 2 will be Queensland Raceway. Round 3 will be one raceway in Goulburn. Round 4 will be at Winton. In Victoria, and then Phillip Island, also in Victoria, and finishing off later in the year at Mallala. So there's a real variety of racetracks, and trust me, as someone who's been racing in Sydney all their life, as much as Eastern Creek or Sydney Motorsport Park is a great track, it is nice to go to different tracks.
Yeah, and what are you finding like with the age demographic, or what kind of motorsport athletes or competitors are racing in the category at the moment? Is it more like the young ones coming through? Is it more gentleman racers, or is it a great mix of both?
Look, there are a lot of younger guys and girls, but predominantly guys who, let's say they've been competing in go-karting for a few years and they're looking for something to step into in terms of a car. Formula is a cheap category, a relatively cheap category, and relatively easy to step into. There's no such thing as cheap motorsport.
Sam, I was going to say that.
Exactly. Yeah. This is an honest podcast.
Yes.
And look, for that very reason, we also have a MX-5 in our fleet now, which is a little more economical to race. It's not the high-profile events, but, again, it is an easier stepping stone. It's not to say the racing is any less competitive or easier. It's just as difficult. But to come back to your question about demographics and age, there are a lot of younger guys and girls looking at it, but then it's a category for everybody. It's competitive, and motorsport is something that, sometimes youth and exuberance can help, but sometimes a little bit of wisdom, skill, and cunning goes a long way too.
Well, you mentioned that you do, I guess, all the off-track side from leasing and car parts. Do you offer driver training, or do you have a relationship with anyone that does driver training for anyone, driver coaching that's wanting to come across to Esport?
Yeah, we do. And it's more of a private one-on-one rather than a school scenario. But if you think about it, we always want people to do well in our cars. So for that reason, our cars are always prepared to the highest standard that they can be. And that's why we'll always help drivers who want or need help in any area. And we've got a depth of experience within our business that we can do that, from talking to drivers about how the mechanics of a car works, which is important to understand when you're driving. Things like wheel alignment, it doesn't have to be a dark art. If a driver understands it, he can give you feedback about it. And then, as well as just, the technical talk of different aspects of different tracks and different corners at different tracks, because we do have a very vast and deep data bank on all that sort of stuff.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Obviously, you're a motorsport athlete, a parent, or someone in a team looking to take your career to the next level. But have you checked out the Driver's Toolkit? It's the ultimate resource to help you get started with sponsorship, build your brand, and grow your social media. Plus, it covers motorsport-specific fitness, nutrition, and mindset strategies to keep you performing at your best. So if you're serious about making an impact on and off the track, and this is for you, head over to motivatetraining.com.au/toolkit to learn more and gain instant access. Now let's get back to the episode. That's fantastic. Now, you mentioned about leasing and the pros of leasing. Do you also sell cars as well? So if someone went through the leasing project maybe for 12 months and then they wanted to go outright, even if people just financially can afford to go outright straight up?
Absolutely. That's the balance. If you're going to just race once or twice a year, it's probably more economical to lease. If you're going to do a whole season, it's definitely more economical to own a car. And again, we have options that, if somebody wants to own a car but still leave it with us to maintain and store, we can do that. If they want to own a car and take it away, we can do that too. I think I referred early on to the fact that one of our cars has just gone to live in Queensland. And it was a ready, set, go car. And I know that it went to Morgan Park. And I think the day after it was delivered, it cut 50 laps at Morgan Park because it was ready to go. And it's still, of course, running well. And it'll be running this season. So, we can make it. We're here to make it easy for people. Whatever they want, we can offer. At least I think that's what we do.
You think so?
Right. Definitely.
Well, on the point of race car preparation, safety and technology, you said you've been racing for 40 years. With motorsport constantly evolving, what are some of the trends that you've seen in race car preparations, I guess, and even race cars with the safety and technology side of things?
That's a really good question. It's the sport, even at club or state level, let's call it state level, has become a hell of a lot more professional. The intensity of the competition has been raised. You very rarely just screw a car together and go out to a racetrack. That just doesn't happen. There are a number of for example, checks and balances that we have with our own cars to make sure that, the basic safety things are not forgotten. I don't know that the quality of parts has improved so much in the last 10 or 20 years because, it improved out of sight many years ago. If you think back to the GTHO, it used to lap Bathurst in 3 minutes, and that was pretty good. But now, of course, you can lap Bathurst in a Toyota 86 or, any good 2-litre car at almost 30 seconds faster than that. So the technology moved along a lot between, I'm going to say the 70s and the 90s. Mm-hmm. In the last 20 years, it probably hasn't moved so fast, but that's because it's already at a pretty high standard of cars and car performance, preparation. Even things like shock absorbers have become so good. The ones that you buy off the shelf as packages are well prepared in terms of spring rates and matching shock absorbers, and then they're adjustable. So you go out and you test and you fine tune those to suit your driver. But in the main, you're always going to start off at a point of being close to fast, let's say. And once upon a time you went out in a new car or a new track and you were chasing 5 or 10 seconds, and then you were only chasing 1 or 2 seconds, and these days you're only ever chasing tenths of a second because it's become so much more competitive and closer. And the fact that something like the one make series are all built to a formula means that you're not going out and inventing the wheel, you're just fine tuning the wheel.
That's great.
Yeah.
So just tell us a little bit more about the specs of the Formula RX8.
Just call it the race car. Yeah. They're simple but great. I mean, it's about everybody having the same components.
Yep.
So, you've got things like same tires, same wheels, same brake pads, same suspension, same exhaust, a factory standard tune, and, you then play around with things like wheel alignment and suspension settings. But in the main, the cars are very simple. The RX8 itself is a very dynamic car. It's a really nicely balanced car, probably very underrated as a road car. It actually, it's a production car still. It's not like a V8 supercar that's a purpose-built race car. It is still a production car, but it's a really nicely balanced package that goes well, stops well, turns well, and usually, lets you know if it's going to break loose and gives you a chance to catch it. Which is important when you're driving, trust me.
Yeah, and of course from a learning perspective as well, like you said, it is very similar to a road car. So especially like those motorsport competitors around that 15 years plus where they're about to get their road license, will help them give the skills.
We've had a number of people who have raced in the category over the recent years who have gone out and actually had a RX8 as a road car just to keep that familiarity and have that complete comfort and oneness with the car. And they are a great road car too, so there's a lot in that.
Fantastic. And is ESP Sport Racing just competing in the Formula RX8 series this year and the MX5 Cup, or is there any other categories for this year?
Our Formula RX8 cars are based around the 3E production car rules. So they are also eligible for production car races, and that is always something that is there. Myself and my son have dabbled in that a little bit in the last couple of years because we were always busy at formula rounds and couldn't race ourselves. So then we went off and raced in production cars, which was challenging. a different type of racing because you're suddenly in amongst cars that are both faster and slower than your own car, and you tend to be more doing longer distance races. So same but different type of racing, but the cars are eligible, and it's a great format for us because we don't have the distraction of looking after customers when we're racing at that, so we can put our helmets on and our race faces and be a little bit more serious.
And are you still racing yourself now, or have you handed over the reins?
No, there's no stopping me. I'm loving it as much now as the first time I ever started racing. There's plenty of times, let me tell you, where you might be having to drag a race car from the workshop to the tuning shop or to the paint shop, or it's a long trip to a racetrack and you think, why the bloody hell am I doing this? And then when you're sitting on that start line looking at that red light, that's the last thing you think of, and the adrenaline kicks in and the red light goes off, and so do you take off. It's the reward for all the hard work and prep that you do. And I still get that buzz and I still get that feeling every time I go out to do a race start.
That's wonderful, Sam. That's good. And how many more years are you going to keep it up? For another 20 odd so?
I think that might be an exaggeration, but let's just see. I've always said that if I think the reflexes aren't there, I'd stop, but I'm pretty comfortable still with my reflexes. So I'll hang in there and keep enjoying it for a while longer.
Well, I just said the season's about to kick off not until Bathurst, which is a few weeks / months away. If people still haven't confirmed a drive for this year, or they're looking maybe for a second series to get involved in, how can people get in contact with you?
Absolutely, yeah, please do. Esport will come up pretty quickly in a search. We've got our website and all my contact details are there. My phone is always on, and always happy to talk motorsport with people.
Fantastic, Sam. Well, do you have any last words of wisdom for upcoming motorsport athletes about being successful in the world of motorsports?
Wow. Have you got an easier question?
What's your favourite racetrack?
Sorry, what was that?
What is your favourite racetrack?
Look, I used to always rate Bathurst as probably the favourite, but lately I've come to like Phillip Island a little bit more. It's a very, very challenging and fast track that, fortunately, unlike Bathurst, doesn't have too many walls to hit. So if you do make a mistake, you're not always going to end up in a wall. Whereas at the top of Bathurst there, if you make a mistake, then you're in trouble. So lately, yeah, my shift has changed to Phillip Island. But, of course, I'll give you a plug now and say to people that, are looking to get in the sport and need help with sponsorship, that Motivate offers a great package and solution to help people get started, and it's a great thing that you do.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Sam. I was going to ask then the last question of what would you tell your younger self as a motorsport athlete to do now prior to 40 years of experience?
Wow. You do have all the good questions, don't you?
That's that early with sponsorship, baby.
Well, yeah, look, we all say that these days. We all joke about, keep that old car you had because they're worth so much more money now today.
Yeah.
That doesn't help you in motor racing because, had I have kept the old Tirana that I had or the RX8 that went through my hands, then I might have more money to go racing today. But that's not the advice. I mean, look, it's definitely, as a career, you have to start early. You do need the backing of people. For me, when I started in motorsport, no one else in my family was slightly interested, so it was a real cold, hard start. For my son, he got a head start because, I helped him in karting. And these days, the the karting stars are getting younger and younger.
Yes.
So as a career or a serious thing, you've really got to have all those things behind you to get you started. As a sport, it's a great sport. You just have to find your niche and your level and play at that level.
Fantastic. I won't throw any hard questions at you now. So. Thank you very much again for your time. And of course, team, please race over and check out ESP Sport Racing. As Sam said, it is an affordable category to consider, maybe not this year, but possibly for next year. Not only the Formula RX8, but also the MX5 series. Sam, all the best for 2025. I look forward to seeing how you go, and I might have you on again next year.
Okay, thank you. And thanks again for having me here.
Thank you. Well, team, and that's a wrap for another episode of the Motorsport Coaching Podcast. I hope you found it valuable and picked up some insights to help you on your motorsport journey. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love for you to subscribe on your preferred listening platform, leave a review, and share it with fellow motorsport athletes. Don't forget to follow Motivate Training on social media for even more tips and resources. However, if you'd like to take things further and work with Motivate, race over to motivatetraining.com.au and learn more about our Drivers Toolkit, the Motor Sponsorship Club, Accelerator Coaching, and of course our Do It For You management program. All of these programs are designed to help you build your brand, secure sponsorship, and grow your career. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.